This is Circles Within Circles, written by Beryl Coops.
Circles within circles. The lamp above Miriam's desk shimmered, its frail light flickering like a dying heartbeat. She watched it warily, breath shallow, wondering if the electricity would finally succumb to the storm raging outside. The cottage, an ancient single-story relic perched on the edge of a desolate Cornish road, had seemed ideal when she first found it. Isolated, affordable, miles from the nearest village, a perfect place to write her novel in peace. But now, as dusk fell and the wind screamed like a banshee across the moors, the house felt less like a refuge and more like a tomb. The walls seemed to breathe. She tried to dismiss it, the way the air thickened after dark, the way shadows clung to corners like cobwebs with teeth. Locals had warned her, of course. Mutters of ghosts and whispers too old to trace. She'd laughed it off then. Ghosts were for bedtime stories. She was a rational woman in her 30s, but as the hours stretched on, the unease grew, gnawing at her nerves like a rat beneath the floorboards. The desk she worked at was an antique, its surface etched with ghostly carvings she couldn't quite decipher. Someone had sat here before her. She could feel it. As her fingers brushed the worn wood, she imagined them, hands trembling, scratching out words like confessions. Fear had soaked into the grain. By daylight, the cottage seemed almost peaceful, still. Too still. The silence was only ever broken by the occasional groan of the old beams settling or remembering. But at night, the darkness felt sentient. The air pressed in close, heavy with something she couldn't name. On the first evening, she'd tried to banish the creeping dread by walking the narrow hallway. The cottage was tiny, 4 rooms and a bathroom, but each step echoed like a challenge. The boards creaked sharply underfoot, as though resenting her presence. Shadows shifted where they shouldn't have, too sharp, too precise, as if they were watching. She told herself it was nerves. Just her imagination, fueled by isolation and unfamiliar walls. But sleep offered no escape. Her dreams were broken, jagged things, memories she thought long buried. Her father walking away, her mother's voice hoarse with grief. He's never coming back. Miriam woke with her heart thundering, the taste of regret bitter on her tongue, the dream still clinging like damp wool. The second day unfolded in a haze of half-written sentences and untouched cups of tea. She caught herself staring out the window, hoping for movement, any sign of life. But the road stayed stubbornly empty, and the sky churned with clouds the colour of old bruises. By afternoon, the wind had found its voice again. It rattled the windows with glee, coaxing the lights to flicker like dying stars. She sat at the desk, trying to focus, but the sensation returned, that crawling feeling, like something unseen watching her from just behind the veil of the ordinary. That evening, she found the trapdoor. It was hidden beneath an old rug under the desk. When she pushed the desk aside, dust swirled up in lazy spirals. The iron handle, rusted and reluctant, resisted her grip and left brown stains on her palm. When she finally pried it open, a wave of damp, earthy air met her, a stench of decay and time best left buried. Trepidation tightened her chest as she stepped onto the first creaking tread. Her flashlight shook in her grip, casting jittery shadows across stone walls and dusty shelves. Everything felt forgotten, abandoned. Then she saw it. In the far corner, a battered old trunk, its surface scarred and swollen with age. The beam of her torch caught strange scratch marks on the floor around it, gouges that looked less like scuffs and more like something dragged across stone. Her stomach clenched. She tried to dismiss it, shelves scraping, maybe the trunk itself, but the image of claws would not leave her mind. The latch was broken. The lid sat slightly ajar as though waiting. She hesitated, then lifted it, slowly. Inside, a moth-eaten blanket, a brittle stack of yellowed letters, and a doll, a porcelain doll. Its face was cracked, one glass eye fractured, yet it stared out, hollow and accusing. Its painted lips curved into something just shy of a smile. Miriam recoiled. Her breath caught in her throat. It looked almost exactly like a doll she'd owned as a child. "How could this be?" she whispered, to no one. She didn't wait for an answer. Slamming the lid shut, she backed away in panic, climbing the stairs 2 at a time. Her legs weakened beneath her as she stumbled into the room, nearly knocking the lamp from the desk as she collapsed into the chair. Her breath came in short, ragged bursts. The walls felt closer now, heavier, watching. This place wasn't just old, it was wrong. That night she shoved the desk back over the trapdoor, a flimsy barrier, a child's defence, but it gave her something, a moment of false safety. Still, sleep eluded her. Every groan of the house sent needles of fear through her spine. Every creak felt deliberate, as though something below was stirring. The third day brought a storm, a real one. Rain hammered the tin roof in waves, each drop sharp as bone. The wind howled across the moors, wailing through cracks in the windows. The lights dimmed and flickered, fading toward black. She tried to light a fire. The logs wouldn't catch. The flame kept dying, as though the air itself refused to feed it. By late afternoon, she found herself at the desk again, though she didn't remember sitting down. Her eyes drifted unbidden to the floor, to the trapdoor. She couldn't look away. What was it about that cellar? Why did it pull at her like a whisper behind a locked door? She didn't know. Only that the dread had taken root and was growing. Then came the knock, hollow, jarring. It echoed through the cottage like a stone dropped in still water. Miriam froze. A second knock followed, louder, sharper. They weren't leaving. She turned slowly toward the front door, every nerve suddenly alert. Her eyes darted to the clock on the mantel. Nearly midnight. Who would come out here at this hour? No one lived nearby. The road outside was empty. No headlights, no engine noise, no footprints in the mud. Still, the light was on. They'd know she was inside. The curtains were thin. She hovered in place, breath caught between her ribs. Answer it? Ignore it? Her hand moved of its own accord. She approached the door, each step a drum beat. Her pulse pounded in her ears as she reached for the latch. Click. She opened the door. Nothing. The wind shrieked in her face. Rain lashed sideways across the porch. But there was no one standing there, no figure, no car in the drive, just darkness and storm. She slammed the door shut and locked it with trembling hands. Back at the window, she drew the curtains aside, hoping, fearing she might see someone walking away. But there was nothing, no shadow, no silhouette, no retreating footsteps in the gravel. There had never been anyone there. She told herself it was the wind, just the storm, just her nerves. But she knew she'd heard the knocking twice. That hadn't been her imagination. The lights flickered violently. She scrambled for the candle. Her fingers fumbled with the match. As the flame caught, the shadows stretched long, and the desk shifted. On its own, it scraped across the floorboards with a long, dreadful screech, revealing the trapdoor beneath. She didn't want to look, but her eyes betrayed her. The handle twitched, then slowly, impossibly, the trapdoor creaked open. Something emerged. A shadow first, then a form. Her breath caught in her throat. A life-sized version of the doll, the same cracked porcelain face, the same glassy, lifeless eyes. Its mouth, still carved into that cruel, crooked smile, had split along one cheek. It stared at her, black orbs drinking in the candlelight. It tilted its head, the joints in its neck creaking with a dry, splintered sound. And then it moved. Forward. It didn't walk. It glided, its feet brushing the floor without touching. Miriam backed away, heart hammering against her ribs. Then it spoke. A whisper, soft but impossibly loud.
Miriam.
The voice changed, now rasping, shattered like wind through broken glass.
Miriam.
That one word echoed deep and mournful, bouncing off the walls and burrowing into her bones. The doll came closer, floating across the room with terrible grace. Then the thunder cracked. Lightning lit the world white. The lights exploded. Darkness swallowed everything. She stood there, heart pounding, candle gutted out, the only sounds the rage of the storm outside, and the whisper of breath, so close, so cold. It brushed her face, and with it a drop of icy dread traced down her spine. Miriam. The voice was gentle now, mocking, yes, but soft, almost sweet. A lullaby whispered through cracked lips. It beckoned. But where to? With an eerie click, the lights blinked back on. She stood alone in the flickering silence, and yet she wasn't. She could still feel it. That breath on her face, cold, close, an almost imperceptible brush of hair across her ear, like a hand too close in the dark. Then another whisper, so quiet she almost missed it.
Miriam.
But the doll was gone. The trapdoor was shut. She blinked, tried to laugh. It came out tight and hollow, just a trick of the light, a waking dream, a storm-fed hallucination. She'd leave in the morning. First thing, This place would be nothing more than a footnote in her life, a strange, unsettling memory. Nothing more. She turned to blow out the candle and froze. A whisper, a finger, cold and delicate, trailing across her lips. Then embrace. Not warm, not human, ice. It wrapped around her body in a grip that stole the air from her lungs. It was like falling into a frozen lake, the shock of it seizing her from the inside. Her eyes widened, she gasped, but no breath came. Then came the voice again, this time broken, pitiful, desperate.
Miriam, help me.
It drifted up from the cellar, soft, faint, but unmistakably hers. Her voice, not as it was now, but younger, fragile, afraid. She knew it instantly. The truth cracked through her like lightning. The doll, the knocking, the whispers. They weren't ghosts, they weren't monsters, they were her. Pieces she had buried, the frightened child she had smothered beneath years of silence and forgetting. The sobbing girl left behind when her father vanished. The one who had curled inward and stayed locked in a trunk no one ever meant to open. The pain, the fear, the loneliness. It had never left. She had. The cottage wasn't haunted by spirits, it was haunted by her. The wind screamed through the windows as if in agreement, rattling the glass like bones. But the voice below had gone quiet, too quiet. Miriam stood trembling, candle in hand, staring at the trapdoor. She understood now. The horror hadn't come from the storm, or the shadows, or the doll. The real nightmare was within. It had waited for her to return, and it would never let her leave.
This was Circles Within Circles, written by Beryl Coops. I hope you enjoyed my short story. Please hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. I have written over 500 short stories over the years under many pen names. I will be updating these and recording them under the Beryl Coops name. I will be listing them on YouTube as fast as we can get them recorded. They will include historical drama, humor, adventure, romance, period drama, mystery, thriller, war stories, spy stories, revenge, horror, psychological horror, dystopian, disaster, children's stories, love stories, and more. Too many to name. Something for everyone. If you enjoyed this story, please give it a thumbs up. It helps others find my channel. Until next time, thank you for listening to the end.